Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Manon.
So hello and welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Dr. Krishna Bhatta. He's an American urologist, author, and inventor. And Dr. Bhatta specializes in robotic uro-oncological surgeries, male reproductive medicine, and urological care and calculi. He is affiliated with several medical facilities, including Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center, St. Joseph Hospital, Northern Light Sebasticook Valley Hospital, and is currently working as the Chief of Urology at Eastern Maine Medical Center in Bangor, Maine. He's also an expert in the study of intermittent silence, meditation, and Gita, and has created Relax, an application that serves as a portable guru for finding peace and happiness. He has authored several publications and patents, along with his book, Journey from Life to Life, Achieving Higher Purpose, which aims at bridging the gap between the Western and Eastern philosophy by answering spiritual questions with a practical bent of mind. So welcome to my show. And I'm really thrilled to have you because it's quite a journey from very specific, specialized type of medicine to also a much larger perspective and way of understanding life. So tell us a little bit, how did your first journey going into urology, and tell us a little bit what made you go into that field to start with?
Yeah, it's a lovely field. I love urology, but that's not, you don't start in high school and say I'm going to be a urologist. So, definitely, I mean, you go through medical school training, and generally there is two bent. One is surgery and the other is medicine. Mm-hmm. And most of the time it differentiates itself. People with surgical bent will go into surgeries, and medical bent will go to medicine. So ultimately, yes, I loved urology, and I enjoy urology even now. Mm-hmm. So that's a journey. It's when you talk about how competitive it is. It's one of the highly competitive branches, right. in at least in this country. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy that. And
so what made you decide to go really in that field? Like once you were in medical school, like it was just, what was the circumstance that made you interested in that?
So as I was saying, it's mostly aptitude. I mean, some people have surgical aptitude, some people right. have medical aptitude. You can always, you have knowledge of psychology and you have worked with psychology, and you can say, oh, well, because my father had, some issue with prostate and kind of, mm-hmm. at that time. I don't know if those things are true. I mean, I right. really, you process your, you go through rotations. Mm-hmm. When you are a medical student or a trainee or intern or residency. So by that time, most people have an idea which branch they want to go. Mm-hmm. And if they can compete, they choose that branch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's how, there is no hidden stories about mm-hmm. why urology.
There doesn't need to be either. And sometimes the stories are created afterwards.
Right, yeah. That's what I said, maybe, yes, when I was medical school, yes, my father had prostate issues, but everyone has prostate issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Men, I mean.
Yeah. Now, my is it now cousin? My mother's brother was a surgeon in mm-hmm. Belgium, and his granddaughter, sorry, it takes a while to understand, went into urology in Belgium. Mm-hmm. So, and for her, it was really to do with the specialty, her thing was because it was an issue. He had actually received prostate cancer and ended up passing away from that. And I think that became her, her passion to understand that more and go into that study. But it doesn't need to be this way. There's enough people that.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I can say that, yeah, there is some relationship between, like my father, as I said, had the similar issue. But whether that was the whole factor,
right.
It's just.
Yeah. So more fascinating though is how did you come up, first of all, with the inventions? Because an inventor is quite a unique characteristic. Not everyone comes up with inventions. So how was your path to all that? How did you become an inventor, and what exactly did you invent?
It's interesting. I mean, I didn't know what invention means or is before I landed in Mass General Hospital, in Boston. And it's a great place. It's just an amazing place. If you're there, if you have any inventive mind, it will just come out, So, yeah, I mean, I came up with some ideas, and suddenly there were people who were supporting me and helping me and, file a patent. I said, what is that? So, I was that much I didn't know before I entered Mass General. And then, I mean, things later, they were medical devices. So
okay,
yeah, when I was there.
So noticing that there was something that you could improve upon or that was needed.
Yeah, or something new, and then people can improve upon those, later on.
Yeah.
But at least, how the difference between human and animal is that animal, they are born, go through the cycle, they do the same thing. Like a bird comes, builds a nest, the next generation comes, builds the same nest.
Right.
In human being, we move from where, I leave off, the next generation leaves, it's like we keep progressing from where one generation leaves off.
So what got you interested in this peace and happiness? I mean, it sounds like everyone should be interested in that, but what is it that brought you into that, and when did that start for you, that journey?
That started very close to when I started medical school. Probably I was even before that, I was, I had some inclination because my family was something like, my father was principal of a college there, and he had some interest, a great interest in spiritual scriptures and routines, and so there were many people who will come to our house when I was growing up, and some great names of those times in India. And I was exposed to that, but I didn't have that interest until maybe first or second year of medical school. And there was a professor at that time. He was professor. He came to give a talk on meditation, and I loved his talks. And then I started reading his books, and then he became a big name after a few years. So, and many of us, went to that talk. Many of us read his books, but I somehow, loved it, and I continued both journeys, journey for medicine and journey for meditation, and it has been a fantastic life. I mean, it's like I've met as many mentors in medicine as in meditation or spirituality.
And how do you feel that, the way medicine is often practiced, there's usually not a lot of spiritual or really, I would say, a lot of presence and connection, even in the doctor-patient relationship. Often that's missing as well, even more so now with so many of the younger generation, where everything is computerized and there's all these lab tests and all this work, and and I know I've had patients that come and say, I don't think I even looked at my doctor's eyes. He was constantly, or she was constantly on the computer typing. And so what is your feeling about that, and the need for, I'm assuming that there's a need for this integration?
There is a need or not. I mean, that's a tough question to answer. I mean, some people will do it, some people won't do it. I mean, you have found that, talking to other people and in your practice. I see my workplace as inspiring to me. So it's hard for me to criticize many things. But yes, what you said, technology. It's great to have a computer where you can have all the documentation, but it does take away the attention from patient, and that's just the way it is. And I don't like it. The patients don't like it. But nowadays, when people have masks and when you don't shake hands,
even more.
even more. And it's interesting how. So yeah, I mean, in general, I'm not a person to criticize, but yes, there are limitations. I would say there are limitations of medicine, and for me, I can say meditation has complemented and enhanced my medicine career in more ways than you can think.
Can you expand on that? Because I'd love to find out more. I mean, it makes sense to me internally, but can you share a little bit why you find that meditation has helped you?
I can give you some examples. But the examples are anecdotes. I don't have any, medical research behind it. And like I did a big surgery, and patient was in ICU, and everything, appeared to be good. And something tells me midnight, wakes me up and says he's not doing well. So I call, and I didn't get any signals from anyone, and I'm not trying to criticize, the monitoring or something. I just went there, and he was almost, in shock.
Wow. Yeah.
So these are little intuition things, but this was in a bigger example. But little things like that, like minor explosions or you can say minor events with major impact. So that's like one simple example. The other example I can give you, like if you are in an operating room and there are so many other people there, you can create an atmosphere where people want to help you. Or that already happens because of how you interact. And again, this is not a criticism to people who don't meditate, because there are some great surgeons who can create that atmosphere without having that exposure. And that's where it comes to, my mind-body flame idea, that we are born with different levels of body and mind. Everyone understands that. Like I'm 5'7", somebody is 6'7". That doesn't change. But when you come here, then you build on that and you get physical fitness, you exercise and take care of your body, to keep it healthy. Mind, you come with a certain limitation or certain potentials of your mind, which you develop, with neuroplasticity or going to college or university or whatever you want to do. You develop a system of, your system that you have developed. That's a property of mind. And we all become excellent in these two things. I mean, human possibility have really expanded so much. And on the one side, you can be President Trump. The other side, you can be President Biden. It's like, the mind can come to that level. But when it comes to the flame, we don't pay attention to. We are also born with a different size of flame. So some people are born, they won't stress out, they won't burn out. They don't know what that is. And they don't need to do meditation to get there. because they are
Right.
already at a different level. But we don't work on the flame.
Yeah.
And the whole emphasis that I'm trying to bring is that you should work at it, because you can be better. You need to develop all three elements.
And the flame, just to be clear, is that the
It's a flame of consciousness.
of consciousness? Okay,
Yeah.
not the innate.
Spirit or soul?
Yeah, that's
No, I'm not
no,
going there. No.
no. It's
Because
the
spirit and soul, everyone has got their own meaning.
right.
And that's there. I'm
Yeah.
not touching the soul, because body is not soul, mind is not soul,
Right.
and the flame of consciousness. So the whole concept is, we think of consciousness as a big out cosmic consciousness. We don't think that we have our own individual consciousness. And
Okay.
that is, so we all have an individual consciousness. The way I explain this sometimes is, if you think of space, a big space, you think of hyperspace, you can think of anything under the blue sky or and beyond, and Star Wars. But when you build a house, you don't think of that as a space, but that is a space. That's your individual space, which you can control. You can control
Right.
the temperature, you can control the humidity, you can control the sound in there. And when you want to go to the bigger space, you open the door and go out, in the open. So the same way, we all have an individual consciousness. And that is the core strength. That is the source of energy. And that is what exists after we die, whether it comes back or not. But that is what exists after. From the healer point of view,
Yeah.
if you can go closer there, and that's when the intermittent silence practice we can talk about. When you go closer to the source, so sometimes your even wishes can be materialized. So from there, if you can get the healing energy rather than just coming from body and mind. Body and mind can also heal, but if you can get the energy from there, you can do a better job. At least that's my hypothesis.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting because you're using the word fire, right? Which is, it's definitely an element. But the idea of inner consciousness that is nor the mind nor the body, so not our thoughts nor our physiology.
It's the watcher. The watcher.
It's the watcher.
Watches.
It's the watcher. Yeah. Yeah. So the one that sees our actions, and what you're saying is that one can. Is it that we need to work on, or just become more aware of our ability?
By becoming more aware, you are there, and you can, be more closer to it. So how could you? So I say increase the size of the flame, but basically you are just being more aware of your inner strength.
Yeah.
And the more aware you become, it's amazing how many new doors start opening up.
Yeah,
we talk of meditation as we are going to some empty place.
Right.
It's full of vibrant energy that can give you more than goosebumps.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah. So I believe. These are things hard to touch, but I believe I understand what you're saying. To me, it's the space in which our inner knowing, our intuition also seems to be our creativity, for me, like downloads, when I receive information that on some level, of course, I must have come across it at some point, maybe, but in that exact moment, I'm still enough to receive it.
Right.
It's that space, right?
Yeah. So inner space has got something I say inner conversation.
Hi, I'm Dr. Manon Bolliger, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching these podcasts. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Also, feel free to leave comments and like it. This way, more people get to find out about this work and about other choices for health. So I think it's really important that we all share this information. I have a free gift to you. It's a 7-sequence email that has tips for every day, and it's a little insight about how to live your life when it comes to health. And it's very much built on how I managed to overcome stage 4 cancer and what it took. So I would love you to have this, and thank you once again for listening to these podcasts.
So that inner conversation, there are two kinds of inner conversation. So after you have practiced intermittent silence for 3 months or so, you have created a space that you can enter. That's your inner universe. So there is some conversation that comes to you. If you are, as you said, if you are receptive, you can receive that information. That's where the poetry comes, that's where the inventions comes, that's where the creativity comes, music comes, and many musicians will agree that the thing comes to them once they are in it. It just flows. The second part is you can bring some conversation and brainstorm there in the quietness of your own inner space.
Like, as in ask what some would say, ask the universe, but
Right.
in a sense that is what it is, right? And it's because it's interesting, what enters is not, like you say, or correct me if I'm not getting what you're saying, but it's not predominantly a thought. It's beyond the thinking and beyond the sensations that we feel in our body. It just appears like, I don't know, I see it like literally like a download, but I don't know if it comes from here or from up here.
Right.
Like, I get it in nature, I get it in stillness. I get it when I was working with patients.
Well, you said stillness, right? So that's what we are trying to create, is stillness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get too busy to notice.
Yeah. It's like what to say, if the mind doesn't know, the eyes do not see.
Right.
So if we are not thinking about the flame in the way I'm trying to put it, and it's not like I made it up, there is an entity like that. I'm just using expression of a different, you said flame. One of the things about flame or fire is that it goes up, and grace also goes up. Gravity pulls you, grace, or any of the energy that comes from inside, it kind of, it just moves up. That's the nature of.
So what is, when you say intermittent silence, what is it that you mean by that? And what's the practice of that?
So it's what it says, 10 minutes of silence every day, if you can practice. There are many people who go on meditation retreats. I don't know if you may know of some people. And they go for 10 days of silence. And they come out, and some of them say, God, it was horrible. And some of them will say, it was amazing. But that's one way to do it, and I'm not against it. I have done it myself several times. 7 days, 10 days, 3 days. And there is other meditation routines that go along with that. So that's like concentrated event. But if you do 10 minutes every day, here is what happens. So there are 4 steps to that. One is you close your mouth. So when you close your mouth, all the brain cells and the pathway that is connected with speech, expression, that gets rested for 10 minutes. Then you close your eyes. all the pathway, visual pathway, optic pathway, they get rested along with the power of observation.
Mhm.
And so now you're looking inside instead of looking outside. Then there is a silent listening, and that silent listening is just let the sound go, whatever sound is there in your house or in your room.
Mhm.
You don't create sound. You don't put music or don't put bells, or it just any sound that's there, just let it pass through. And the fourth one is silent watching of thoughts. So any thought that's going in, in your brain, don't try to focus it. Don't try to quieten your mind, because you can't do it. Just it won't happen. Mind is minding, right? It keeps thoughts will keep flowing. And so these are the 4 steps. And in the beginning, it may be uncomfortable because we are not used to, we're used to outside.
Yeah.
And but once you get it, it's amazing. It's not, an empty mind. It's not an empty mind, because mind is not going to be empty.
Right. No. I think the job of thoughts is to keep thinking.
Yeah. Well, I tell a story. I created a story. It's like Professor Tom Thinker. It's like he goes to some swamis and reads about it, and he's a professor of philosophy. And everybody says, oh, watching the thoughts is like watching traffic go by on a road. So he said, okay, I'll test it out. He's a professor, in Ivy League school.
Mm.
So what best place to go? Then he goes to Glasgow, Montana, which is the remotest place you can be. Goes in the boonies, stands on the road. One truck goes by, another car goes by. It's like between them, there are 5 minutes he's standing on the road. And when, they go by, they look at him, who is this guy? What is he doing? So then he thinks, okay, I thought it will be a quiet place, but it's too quiet. Maybe the Swami meant I should be on a highway. So then he comes to Mass Pike in Boston, stands in the middle of the Mass Pike, and, it's not good for him either. He can't get the peace that he was thinking, watching the traffic, because he had to dodge the trucks and dodge the cars go by until he was picked up by a police, and he had to promise he won't do that. A professor thinker or professor of philosophy won't do that. But the whole point is that's what we do when people say, watch your thoughts. We stand in the middle of the thought and we try to stop some thoughts or focus some thoughts. That's not the idea. I think the idea is to really watch it from outside. And in so doing, suddenly you will find that you are beyond the mind. And that's where you can come closer and closer to the flame. And new energies start arising.
Yeah, I like the analogy you've created there. I'm very visual, so it helps to see it that way. Yeah.
You can't stop an 18-wheeler on a highway. Right?
So what is then the relax, RELAXX? What is that?
So that has got the mind body flame concept.
Okay.
And then it has got intermittent silence.
Yeah.
And then it has a lot of other deeper meditations. So there are many meditation apps, but I think we have a differentiator. We are a little deeper in content and context, and we are a little different because we do have the element of flame that's coming into picture. I mean, I'm not saying all meditation apps, but most of the others cater to body and mind, and it's like they will create some guided meditation, feel good meditation, I call them.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, no fun intended. I mean, but they work as well. It's not that those things don't work. It's like.
I mean, they say different strokes for different folks, right?
Right. Yeah.
Different things. Like there is no wrong thing. It's whatever
Right.
you're relating to. Yeah.
But I think people are ready to go have a deep dive, and I think this application, at least I think, it offers them, and this is new, so check it out.
Yeah, no, I'll look into that. Yeah. Well, so have you had an opportunity yet to have some of your patients or like that to try it to see if it impacts their ability to heal faster or to experience less discomfort or pain? Or have you had an opportunity to try that yet, or to know?
So I have, I have tried to keep two
Separately.
parallel tracks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, if I have to do that in my practice, I will have to go through IRB approval. Mm-hmm. I will have to create a proposal and the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. And in my specialty, it may not be great, but yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, the interaction with patients, sometimes they share mm-hmm. more things. And I had one patient who went to one of the local library. He was 87 or 88 years old, and got the book Journey from Life to Life, mm-hmm. made an appointment with me, and he comes every year, so he made an appointment for his follow-up. And when he came, he talked very little about his medical problem. He talked about the book, and he says, "I'm a Christian. Does it apply to me?"
There's a thought.
So it was interesting, very interesting. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you have those occasional interactions, but I try to keep it separate, and I think I feel that's a better way to do it. If they want to know more about this, they will contact me.
They can, yeah. Well, I think it's I think the tides are really changing now. 2021, I think a lot of people are asking many more questions about things in general because of possibly what we've experienced or gone through. So I think, I feel, and that's more that sense, no proof yet, but it feels as if there is a different consciousness coming. That's my feeling. And it's hard to know how you get these feelings, but it's what I'm experiencing.
So, no, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. The higher purpose I talked about, right, in the book, we talked, the title. So what is the higher purpose? It is changing. I read a book which was more about, how life was in the concentration camp for a Jew, who has written that book. For him, the higher purpose is to somehow get out of there and go to family. Mm. And in our history, not very ancient history, not, I mean, 100 years, right. 200 years. What was it? France was fighting with England, and India was fighting with Pakistan, or, I mean, it's like the life was not the same way as it is now. Now, a lot of people can think freely. Mm-hmm. They don't have under oppression. They have enough means. They're not worried about food on the table. So yeah, as you said, whole thing changes. I mean, where you go changes. Like this coronavirus, it changed a lot of habits, and for good and bad, both sides.
Yeah. And also,
I admire your work, though. Yeah. I was looking at some of the things you are doing. Don't know too much about it. Can you share that in 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever?
Yeah. Well, what is it that attracted you to it, or what is it that you find interesting? Then because there's so many, I could talk hours about it. But what's the aspect?
I think one of your lines was, "Life is what you make of it," or something.
How like you live is how you heal.
How you live is. Yeah, how you heal, right? Heal. Yeah, how you live is how you heal. I like that line.
Well, it was true of me, 100%, and I think I've always seen, well, not always. I had to have diseases, and believe that there's, I thought there were certain ways of getting through things, and it's like I kept learning that there's more. There's just more than like you're saying, than thoughts. So a lot of it for me at first was to realize that thoughts had a role, but they also are, it's also their job, and that you don't have to believe all your thoughts. And then I also understood that emotion is much more complicated. It is literally a surge that takes maybe 90 seconds, but feelings is what it's the stories we attach to our emotions. And so as I dealt with people in pain, and whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, it all comes the same. There's a stuckness, like a rigidity or a holding on to something as if that was safety, which is maybe an instinct. In fact, it's a common instinct to hold on to what is, because people don't like change. But healing it's that process. So you have to incorporate healing in it is what you do. It's how you live, literally, and you can't separate it. It's how you are being, and whether it's a decision or the energy that you are surrounding yourself with, the choices, the time for yourself, all of that's integrated. You can't separate the wholeness, of our own beings, So, and I think with the physical work that I do too, is that the body stores a lot of this and a lot of what we experience. And so part of my work is allowing the body to release this. And there's something called with fascia, it's called Intraoception. It's our ability to feel inside. And when people connect to their bodies in that way, not with their thoughts, but in their feeling sense, it changes their consciousness. They become truly the observer. They realize there's more. They're part of something much bigger, right? And that's, I think, the joy that people get after a session. They go, this is very strange. Not that they understand it or something, because it's very, sometimes simple things are harder to understand, but simple things work. And
no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about emotions. I use the word emotional storms.
Storms, yeah.
So if you practice, say, intermittent silence for some time, and you are hit with an emotional storm, you get that, with that practice of silence, you have developed something, a quality in you where you can see your emotional storm rising from a little distance. That little gap gives you the strength to deal with it in a more favorable way.
Yeah, it's like you're not attached. You don't believe it the same way you don't believe your thoughts. You observe, like, oh, I like the word storm. I think that's great.
Yeah. But that's what you described, right? I mean, it's like it comes as a surge. You said, I didn't say tsunami, but
Well, some people, that's their reality, right? And I think, if we don't attach meaning to it,
right,
it is like a storm. It passes, so I think it's interesting. Anyway, our time is up, but is there any last statement you wanted to say? That went very fast.
No last statement.
No?
Relax with 2x. And there is a website, relax.org. If you go there, you can find the download, but you can find it if you search it on App Store or Google Play Store.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bhatta, and to another time.
Yeah, great. No, thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Dr. Manon. For more information, go to drmanonbolliger.com.